To understand the philosophy of semen retention, one must first confront the biological substance at its core, semen itself. From a purely materialistic perspective, it is a complex cocktail of spermatozoa, fructose, ascorbic acid, and various proteins and minerals, a nutritional payload designed for a single, monumental purpose: procreation. However, through the lenses of ancient medical systems and esoteric traditions, semen is far more than the sum of its biochemical parts. It is considered the quintessential essence of male vitality, the most refined and potent distillation of a man's life force. In Ayurveda, this essence is known as ojas. Ojas is the superfine product of perfect digestion, not just of food, but of all life experiences. It is the bedrock of immunity, strength, stamina, and spiritual luminance. It is believed that it takes the body a tremendous amount of energy and resources to produce a single drop of semen, energy that is literally expended during ejaculation. The modern man may ejaculate hundreds, even thousands of times in his life, without the intention of creating life. The proponent of semen retention argues that this represents a catastrophic drain on the body's reserves of ojas, leading to a state of depletion, fatigue, and weakened constitution. The practice, therefore, is not about denial for denial's sake, but about conservation, about rebuilding the body's foundational reserve of power. From a biological perspective, semen is packed with nutrients: zinc, selenium, potassium, calcium, DNA, RNA, and essential vitamins. It contains millions of sperm and biological compounds that the body has invested energy and resources in producing. From an evolutionary standpoint, the purpose of semen is to transmit life. As such, the body does not create it lightly. Ejaculation, especially the excessive or chronic kind, is not simply the expelling of fluid. It represents the expenditure of energy that could have nurtured the brain, enriched the bloodstream, or elevated mood. When a man retains his semen, his body does not simply let the energy stagnate. Instead, it reabsorbs and distributes that vitality to systems that need it: mental clarity, physical repair, immune response, hormonal balance. This is why men who practice retention consistently report increased strength, improved sleep, lifted mood, and deeper focus. Where energy was once escaping outward, it now circulates within. This is nature's design. Energy conserved is energy transformed. Self-control is not about denial. It is about power. Self-control is not a prison. It is freedom from impulse-driven living. In a world that mines attention, encourages addiction, and weakens discipline through endless stimulation, the man who practices retention is a rebel. He is practicing psychological sovereignty. When a man learns to say no to his most basic pleasure-seeking impulse, he becomes capable of saying no to all lesser temptations. He becomes rooted in purpose. He can work longer, think clearer, resist distraction, and follow through on his goals. He does not crumble under stress. He does not lose himself in escapism. He begins to trust himself, not because of mere belief, but because of action repeated daily. Self-control is self-respect in motion. Semen retention trains this muscle. The dopamine system also plays a central role. Indulgence in pornography or chronic ejaculation short-circuits dopamine receptors, making the real world feel dull by comparison. Retention resets this balance. Life becomes stimulating again. Beauty returns to ordinary moments. Motivation rises not because of external rewards, but from an inner flame steadily growing stronger. Historically, men undertook rites of passage, fasting, isolation, trial, to gain strength not only of body but of spirit. In every culture, the warrior, the monk, the sage recognize that lust is powerful, and mastery over it is a gateway to higher consciousness. Self-restraint was not seen as limitation, but as a sharpening of the internal blade. In the modern age, warfare has changed, but the battles still exist. They are fought inwardly, against apathy, addiction, self-doubt, and mediocrity. The man who retains his seed is not simply storing energy. He is cultivating warrior presence. His discipline is a shield. His embodied libido becomes focused intent. There is a difference between craving a release and channeling desire into creation, expression, and leadership. This is the instinct of the warrior, transforming raw potential into purposeful action. There is a direct psychological link between semen retention and a sense of higher calling. When a man begins to conserve his energy, he may initially experience restlessness. This is the fire of suppressed potential beginning to rise. If he directs this energy outward, to work, to art, to physical training, to building something meaningful, his life begins to take on shape. Ideas come faster. Emotions become more stable. Goals become clearer. Retention pushes a man out of stagnation. There is something about not releasing one's essence that compels a man to rise, to move, to reclaim his direction. There is a desire to honor what he is conserving. He becomes more project-driven, more willing to invest time in learning, improving, and contributing. There is a purpose that does not come from outer validation, but from the awareness that life truly matters now. Every day, every moment. He stops drifting and starts commanding. One of the most overlooked gifts of retention is emotional balance. Men who engage in chronic ejaculation often report mood swings, irritability, fatigue, or anxiety. This is not because ejaculation is inherently bad. Ejaculation is natural, but because imbalance leads to depletion. It is when a man allows his body to fire its most potent energy through constant pleasure-seeking that his inner foundation cracks. Retention restores emotional equilibrium. As testosterone stabilizes and dopamine resets, the nervous system becomes less reactive. Stress is processed better. Anger does not overwhelm. Emotions do not spill over, but become clear signals that can be acted upon consciously. The man becomes grounded, not by suppressing emotion, but by fortifying the foundation upon which emotion rests. He becomes harder to provoke, quicker to forgive, slower to judge. He becomes, in essence, unshakable. Sexual energy is creative energy, is the power of life. When not directed toward procreation or pleasure, it must go somewhere. And throughout human history, wise men have directed it upward. This is the concept of transmutation. Instead of sexual impulse leaving the body through physical release, it is transformed into creative, artistic, or spiritual expression. Many spiritual traditions, from Taoism to Tantra to yogic practices, hold retention as a sacred practice, not of denial, but of transformation. The point is not to reject sexuality, but to channel it, to expand it, to bring it upward from the lower centers of the body to the higher ones, the heart, the mind, the spirit. When sexual energy rises, it fuels intuition. It enhances creativity. It sharpens the imagination. It widens perception. Dreams become vivid. Meditation becomes deeper. Life itself begins to feel more connected, more sacred. This is why artists, philosophers, and mystics have often been celibate or selective in their sexual expression. They recognize the link between desire and insight, between temptation and transcendence. They understood that erotic energy is the engine of both lust and enlightenment, and that the mind who controls it can shape worlds. In the digital era, men are bombarded with sexual imagery, pornographic content, and artificial stimulation that no previous generation ever encountered. The instinctive brain cannot tell the difference between pixels and real life. It reacts, releases, and depletes as though engaging with a real mate. This confuses the biological system. Mixed signals between abundance and emptiness, stimulation and isolation. Porn teaches the brain that intimacy is transactional. It conditions instant gratification. It devastates motivation, body image, and interpersonal skills. It hijacks instinct so completely that natural desire loses direction. The masculine ability to bond, compete, build, or protect becomes compromised. Semen retention is the antidote to this era. It restores primal instinct by removing artificial stimuli. It rewires the brain to crave real experience, connection, purpose, authentic victory. It rehabilitates the masculine spirit, freeing it from digital addiction and bringing it back to real life. It allows desire to detox, recalibrate, and rise in a healthy, productive form. One of the most mysterious and powerful effects of semen retention is its influence on how women respond to men. Women are deeply intuitive, sensitive to subtle cues of vitality and leadership instinct. When a man retains, his presence shifts. His eyes sharpen. His confidence becomes quiet but unshakable. His aura changes in ways the feminine instinct can detect even before words are exchanged. Many men report that women are more drawn to them, without trying, when practicing retention. This is not because semen is magical, but because self-control radiates strength. Testosterone elevates. Posture improves. He stops chasing and starts embodying. He becomes less needy, less reactive, more self-contained. Women feel this, not logically, but viscerally. They sense safety, power, direction. A retained man does not seek to take from the feminine. He has more than enough of his own energy. He becomes a source of stability, attraction, and subtle magnetism. Retention is not about perfection. It is not about never releasing. It is about being conscious of when, why, and how energy is used. It is about recognizing that constant indulgence weakens and conscious conservation strengthens. Here are practical considerations for those seeking this path. Start slowly. If you're currently ejaculating daily, start by extending to every 3 days, then once a week. Avoid porn. Retention without cutting porn is like trying to sail with an anchor dropped. Transmute consciously. When sexual energy builds, channel it. Work out, meditate, create, read, build something. Stay active. Stillness invites temptation. Movement supports mastery. Build rituals, cold showers, breathing practices, journaling. Anchor your discipline in repeated actions. Focus on purpose. Retention without purpose becomes repression. Retention with purpose becomes power. In conclusion, semen retention emerges as a profound and multifaceted response to the dysfunctions of the modern male experience. It is a call to reject the narrative of compulsive consumption and instant gratification, and to instead embrace a path of discipline, conservation, and purposeful energy direction, rooted in both ancient wisdom and the immediate, lived experience of thousands of men. It posits that our most potent creative force is also the key to our personal power. It is the natural instinct for vitality, reminding us that the body is a temple of refined energy, not a mere pleasure machine. And it is the ultimate practice of self-control, a daily gym for the will where a man forges the strength to command his impulses, direct his focus, and build a life of purpose and presence. In a world that often feels chaotic and draining, semen retention offers a radical proposition that the source of our power, clarity, and unshakable calm has been within us all along, waiting not to be spent, but to be mastered and harnessed for a life of truly potent living. Join the Retain to Thrive Telegram channel at the link below, where we focus on building discipline, overcoming distractions, and achieving goals. Join the supportive community, sharing tips, motivation, and accountability. Let's grow together, one step at a time. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and share the video.